Alright, so I put my truss on here to see how it fit up, and it's hitting right here, so I just decided I'm going to trim this piece out, be with the bandsaw, and I'm just going to grind it down with the flat disc. And the way to get this axle level, I put an angle finder on the pinion, and it's at 90 degrees. Alright guys, so I got the truss clamped on here and the pinion angle set where I want it to be. And alright, so now I'm going around it with a marker and I'm just tracing it because I'm going to go ahead and put the finishing paint on it instead of that weld through primer, because POR said that needs to be sanded so it has a texture for that finishing paint to stick to. So I'm just going to go around here and mark it out with the Sharpie and then go ahead and brush on the paint and then put the truss back on, and I'll show you guys how I put the truss on then. But like I said, I'm just going around with the Sharpie and just tracing it out. Alright, so seal my lines, all that good stuff. I'm just going to wipe it down with this tack cloth, get any dust off, metal, dirt, just loose stuff like that. It takes it right off. Alright, this is the paint. That's what it looks like. POR 15. Right now I took the truss off of it and I'm going to try to give it some texture with either flap disc. If that doesn't work, I'm going to use just a stone and just hit it lightly so it has texture for the paint to stick. Then we're going to paint that and then we'll tack weld it on. And yeah, I forgot to do this on the other side, and you don't even, I don't know, I would recommend doing it. You don't have to do it, but it's just to ensure the paint's going to stick. I'm not even going to hit it with the 320 grit, I'm just going to hit it with this, and then I'm going to put it on there. Things I do for love. Yeah, so the deeper groove on these goes on this side, the opposite side of the pinion. Alright, so then you want to put this on. You want to get this level. We're going to check our pinion angle again just to be sure. It's at 89.9. I'll show you guys that real quick. It's at 89.9. Alright, so to get this level, we're just going to put a level on whichever side you're going to work on. And it needs to go back that way just a little bit. So whichever side it needs to go on, put your clamp on that side. Alright, so I ended up taking off the clamp on the other side. It's no longer there. I just have my ground clamp to it. But I just put a wedge underneath this side so I could tilt this back to get it the right, so it'd be level. And it's pretty much centered. I'm just gonna tack it on both sides. So I ended up fitting this clamp on here, and it kind of really close up the gap, so I'm just going to roll with it. Go ahead and tack it. We're going to check our pinion angle just in case it moved on us. Alright, so I messed up already. This top piece wasn't supposed to go on yet. It's just supposed to sit on top of it, and then you're supposed to tack the two sides on it, and then you're supposed to pull the top off and weld the inside. And I'm not worried about welding the inside. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to have anything break off, but I'm going to have to cut it right here and then just peel this back, and then there's two pieces that jig right into these two keyed holes. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that, and then I'll show you guys how to put it in there. I went and ate lunch, so it's pretty much cooled back down. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some more tacks, more welds on it. And I'm just welding out the truss where it touches the axle tube. You can weld these uphill or downhill. The reason why I'm doing them downhill is because it's not going to get as hot. So that's why I'm doing it like that. These are pretty cool. They're warm, but they're not very hot, so I'm going to go ahead and weld the other side. And I'm going to wait for that all to cool back down and keep doing what I've been doing. Alright, now we're back on the opposite side. We're going to put some more weld down, let it cool. And then if you guys end up welding the inside out, you probably should. But if you do that, if I were you, I would stagger them. I'd put like one right here on the inside, and then don't weld it on the outside, or just do half of the length of the material, and then just stagger them back and forth like that. So it'd be like inside welded, half of it right here, welded this side, and then the inside would be welded right here, outside, inside, just like that. I wouldn't weld the whole entire thing. We're going to take this cool bucket mount right here, and we're going to take this, and get the shock mount that goes in there. I already painted this underneath it too. Here's this display bore linkage bracket. And it is key to line up this, so I'm just going to match it to the other side of the other coil bucket. I got a bolt so we can set our brackets the right width or whatever mounts up to it. So we're going to go ahead and do that so we can weld it out. This bolt's 3.5 inches long, and it's just a 1/2 by 13. I got 2 nuts with it. Alright, now we're going to put this lower control arm bracket on, and it goes on the passenger side. This one looks straight, another one has a curve right here, and that one goes on the driver's side, and it's keyed down here. So I'm just going to rotate this whole entire thing up so we have easy access. There's a little keyed hole on the bottom of this shock mount, and that's where that goes in, right there, where it's notched. And then you just push it all the way up against it. There shouldn't be any play. So the gap for the lower control arm is supposed to be 2.63, which is 2 and a little over 5/8. So right now it's at 2 and 5/8, a little bit over. So I'm just going to put this through here like we did before. This is just to hold it so it doesn't move. But yeah, you really just need to do this whenever you weld it out. So I'm just gonna tack it up and leave it how it is. And then you can go back and put that spreader in there just so it doesn't move at all. Another thing is, I've already like sanded these down. I just hit it with a flap disc with 80 grit or whatever. Pretty much did it on all the parts on this one. Probably should have done on the rear axle. And then I sanded it down with the 320 grit. And I'm just gonna paint over it with this black paint, the POR 15. So this lower control arm on the driver's side pretty much goes until this rests up against your shock mount. And you can see how it's just right up against that right there. Pushed all the way up against the shock mount. There's not really anywhere for it to go. You could like move it down, but just push it all the way up. Alright guys, now we're on the driver's side and we're putting the coil spring, the coil bucket, the spring mount. And you put this so that it's evenly on this tab right here. So just split the difference in between that corner and that corner, and you're just going to tack it on there. And then another thing, before you put this on there, you want to make sure this stuff in here is welded so you can get to it. You got this little octagon thing that goes just like that right on top of it. And remember, whenever you put that on, to paint the inside of this and the bottom of that. Now we're gonna wait for these to cool, then we're gonna go ahead and paint them, and we'll put that cap on them. So now we're gonna put the track bar on, and I already put it on once and put it in the wrong spot. But this big slot right here, it slides right over this coil bucket mount, and put it on like that, and then to make it like this way, to find where it needs to go, I just go to it, pushes up to it, and all the gaps are closed up. Yeah, so this gap for the track bar, you want it between 11/16, 1 and 11/16, and 1 3/4. And I think it's just easiest to put it at 1 3/4, and you got less than a 16th of play for the track bar, which should be fine. And you can do that with these bolts like I did earlier. And you can spread it, close it, put it wherever you need to put it before you weld it out. But that's what it looks like. All the gaps are just really tight. And the coil bucket mount, that's what it looks like where it mounted. Alright, so I made this grease zerk pretty much facing forward towards the front of the diff cover, just so it'd be easy to access, and then I spreaded this as far as I could just so I could get a grease gun in there and put it on that tip. Alright guys, so it's pretty much ready to be fitted up. Only thing I don't have on is these little caps right here for the coil springs. And I haven't done that because I'm going to paint it yet. And I'm going to show you pretty much everything I did on this. The truss is pretty much welded out except for the cast. That's the only thing that's actually welded out on it. And I didn't weld the inside. Like I said, you can if you want. I don't think it's necessary. You're probably gonna warp it. Not probably gonna, but you might warp it. So I just did these and I just stitch welded it and I let it cool down. Did the other side and just took my time on that. And another thing I did, I didn't order the kit doesn't come with a breather hose like this adapter thing, so I just went to Ace Hardware and I bought this little fitting, and I had to grind down the differential for a turn to do a 90 degree, and you just keep tightening it down. I've tightened it down pretty tight. I got this little extension piece and another 90, and that's all I'm going to do for that after I tighten it down. But yeah, and I think the next thing I do is I'm just going to fit it up to the Jeep, see how everything works. And that will probably be the next video. And another good thing to do was like sand down pretty much this stuff and then paint the other side with the PR15, the finish paint, the black. And on this axle right here, I'm gonna have to, I called them up and asked them, because there wasn't a step for the PR15 weld through primer, what to do for the finish. The guy said to just slightly sand it and paint over it. I'm probably just gonna wire wheel it off and paint it black. So that's what I'll be doing too. And I didn't show how to disassemble this. You guys can look that up on YouTube and they'll pretty much show you how to disassemble it if you need any help. But it went together pretty easy. The only thing I would have done different was I would do these lower control arm brackets the very last thing you do, because once you do that, your jack stands can't really support anything on this side. Like it's not perfectly round for it to go on, so it's sitting on that angle right there, and it fell off on me like 3 times. So yeah, I'll do the lower control arms last. And I think that's pretty much it. But thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. And that's all I got for you guys.